morning, it's Jacob from Go Industrial, and those who believe that Brisbane doesn't get a winter, you're very wrong because it is freezing. But we're here today, if you remember the Pottery Project. We've moved a whole 4 meters to the left, and we have a second project starting up now, which is actually my dear mother's pottery shed. The owner runs a business called Misfire Ceramics. Check it out, it's pretty cool. But today we are going to be spraying out the interior, which has just been lined with new VJ panels. So we'll give you a good walk around the project. We'll see what's involved, and we'll show you through how we prepare and how we spray, and covering some of those spray techniques today for using our Graco airless machines. Come inside, check it out. So welcome inside. We've had some new interior VJ lining installed. So cool ply ceiling as well. So we're up to the stage now. We haven't filmed this bit, but where we went through, the old man and I, with our Soudal gap filler, and we gapped around all the joins, all the battens, all the joins and the VJ panels. So why gap and why fill? Firstly, it's not only aesthetic, even though it looks really good and it's super satisfying when you're painting over a nice gapped or filled surface. It's really important to avoid any moisture being trapped in the joins and the seams. So we make sure that we use high quality products to ensure that over time, our building's not going to move and our gaps aren't going to crack, and we're not going to have any structural problems down the track. So prep is 80% of everything you do. So take your time, don't rush it before you get to the painting process. Even though I always get really excited to spray, take your time and do it properly, because the reward is fantastic at the end. So boring as always, but a disclaimer, we are not qualified tradesmen, painting and decorators. So everything we've learned so far has been from experience and talking and dealing a lot with our really valuable customer network of painters. But give me tips if I'm not giving the right advice here and there. Guys, please comment, please let me know. But when it comes to spraying, we've been doing this for quite a long time, and we have some really awesome tips and tricks to share with you all. So, because the old man and I were doing this very late in the afternoon, and winter sucks because you have no daylight, we missed some nail holes here to fill. So we're using our Soudal Lightspeed filler, which is rated for interior use. It is an awesome, lightweight, a bit thicker than like a shaving cream consistency filler, which is ideal for what we're doing. I don't have my nifty filling blades here, so thankfully Soudal actually provides some filling blades with every Lightspeed filler you buy, which you can also buy from us in our Go Prep kit or online. This is really important for, number one, aesthetic reasons, to make sure that our VJs are seamless and smooth, preventing any dirt, grime or moisture being trapped in these nail holes, which we don't want ever. Ever. So I'm doing this incredibly dodgily because I want to show you some cool sanding technique and just how good the Deos is at bringing back smooth surfaces, even if you are not that talented at filling. So this is partially intentional and partially because I am not the best filling. Again, roast me in the comments. So why we're actually using a Lightspeed filler is because, number one, we're time poor and we want to get this project done quickly. But that too, it has a very fast dry time of 15 minutes. Not all fillers will dry that quickly, and not all fillers are suitable for these applications, and that is why Soudal is a great choice, and we love it. We love it, and I'll show you, even though I've been quite rough here where we've filled around, I'm going to show you how nice it is when this sets in about 15 to 20 minutes to sand over it, buzz over that with our Mirka Deos with the 180 grit abrasive, and I'll show you just how smooth we can actually get. See these phalanges? You've been there, we've all been there. Gaps, fillers all over. These, oh man, you have no idea. You don't understand how good it is to have ultra grumps on hand for paint, for anything. Oh, this looks like such a product placement, but I can tell you, we do a lot of servicing as well for our airless paint sprayers. Clean. Even has a scent to it. Beautiful. Let's go. aloe vera as well, so it's good for your skin, it doesn't dry you out. I could do my 3-stage skin routine with this as well. Anyway, let's get back to sanding. So choosing the grit of sandpaper you need to use is really dependent on the surface you're trying to sand, right? So if it's already a pre-painted surface and the paint's flaking off, very much recommend to scrape off all the flaky paint that you can, and then it's a matter of choosing the right abrasive for the right application. So for example, when I painted my house, my weatherboards were flaky, terrible condition, tackled it with a 40 grit, 80 grit, 120 grit through to 180 grit where I filled. And that meant that that system that I followed was the smoothest finish I could achieve. But because these are brand new VJ lining and they're already in okay nick, they're a little bit furry here on the sides, I'm only needing to tackle it with 180 grit. And we use our Abranet mesh system, and you can see here that it's not a paper-backed abrasive, so it doesn't have little holes there. It's got a net here for complete extraction, so it's 99.998% dust-free. It's pretty much dust-free completely. And we've got all the gaps and fillers here that I've set. So this is going to be the right grit to use to smooth all this off. So we'll get into it. We're not going to run the sander on maximum revolutions because we don't need to. Let's get it done. So I started sanding from the opposite direction because obviously we had to let these set. So it's about 15-20 minutes has passed. As you can see, all of our light speed Soudal filler has now dried. And I've put this on very liberally and rough just to show you how we're going to pull this back with our 180 grit Deos. If you don't even know what a random orbital sander is, I'll give you a quick explanation. We have orbital sanders and we have random orbital sanders. Orbital sanders will sand in a perfectly circular motion. The random element to the orbital sander means that it's also in a circular motion, but it oscillates in a random pattern. And why that's important when sanding is, it provides us with the best sanding pattern or scratch pattern available. So this is a 5mm orbit, which means that from the center, it's going to orbit randomly 5mm outward. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to rip back patches with the Mirka Deos. We're going to set it full speed, 3 clicks back with a 180 grit abrasive. Let's do it. So smooth, you can rub your face against it. And in terms of dust, let's have a look here. So look at a patch I've done up here. That's all that's left on the surface, just that little bit of dust from the panel. The rest of it, fully extracted. So before we paint, all we have to do is just give this a light brush down with a rag, bit of sugar soap if you really want to get into it properly before we paint. And you saw how quickly that was to actually sand. I'm just a little spot dust here. Smooth as. So you may be wondering, when we get right into these corners, how on earth am I going to sand these patches with an orbital sander? You'd think, oh man, I'm going to have to finally get out my hand sanding block. No, absolutely not. Not happening. Not happening when everything can be dustless. We swap over to our Deos, which is our direct electric orbital sander. Now, due to the shape of the rectangle, this doesn't actually have to be random orbital, it's just orbital. 3mm, so it's gonna vibrate 3mm in sand. You can turn it on, max, 3 clicks back, and I've got 180, I've already used this abrasive as you can see on my previous project. I'm gonna keep using it, because why not? So if this is within your budget or your price range, we still have a compromise that's still dust-free. It's either our professional dust-free sanding kit or our roundy kit. And both the hand block sanders that generally connect with the 4-meter hose into any shop vacuum or most of your common extractors that you can buy. If you've already got one, it's an awesome way to be dust free, still use the awesome abrasives that Mirka have without breeding all this dust and achieving a great finish quality. Of course, if it's in your budget, and I highly recommend it, it is an investment in your health and time saving, whether it be for your renovation project or your full-time contracting business. It's stuff that's worth its weight in gold, and it gets me very excited. So another really important detail with all of our woodwork and trim finishing, like especially these window frames here, is, and this is the honest part of us doing it, is that you can see right here in this join that we haven't actually fully gap filled this little crack in here. So I'm going to go back through with our fill and paint gap filler and just run a really thin bead of gaps here. We're going to let that fully set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth that all off. So another advantage of using the Deos in this process to smooth all our frames off is you're going to get a nice consistent profile and a really smooth finish. So when I buzz around here with the sander and then follow through with my airless sprayer, I've got to make sure that this is all nice and consistent. Because we can't use a brush or a roller to try and fill in some of the gaps to try and smooth off the profile, we have to make sure that the substrate is ideal and perfect before I hit it with our sprayer. And that way, it'll be void of any roller nap, any brush strokes, and it'll look like a seamless, factory finished window frame. Again, in the context, this is a pottery shed, so it's going to become more or less a workshop. While I'm not going for absolute perfection, AJ and I are both OCD, so we'll make this happen. If you want the best gap filling combo in the whole world, and that's a big claim, but trust me, a lot of guys and girls feel the same. Soudal fill and paint or all-weather flex, which is our higher flex rating one for exterior use, and our I-Quip dripless nylon gap gun. What is a dripless gap gun? If you've gapped a lot before, you know that when you're pulling the trigger and you've finished your bead of gaps, you release it, it keeps coming out. Absolute pain. So I-Quip's nylon dripless gap gun means that I can just dose and dispense where I need without a pain. For every project I do, I miss something. I've just missed all of this intricate kind of work around frames. So I've got to run a really thin bead of gaps around here now and try and smooth that off as best as possible. Let's do that. So you know how we have the Deos? We also have a Deos Delta. I know, another one to introduce to the series, where we have the 81mm by 133mm rectangular squarish head. Now we have a very handy iron-shaped head or a triangle head, and this is ideal. I'm not going to sand just yet, but where I need to get into all of these corners really fine and all those different angles, this is going to be ideal. So especially around where old man has gapped quite terribly around all these battens, or the beams, sorry, I'll be able to just rub that back very gently. So we're doing a homeowner project today, so it's only fitting that we use our Graco ProX19, which is the top of our homeowner range. And this is an airless electric sprayer. We're about to have some fun spraying out the interior of this pottery shed that we just went through and prepped. Put a lot of time and effort into preparation, so I'm so excited to actually spray these VJ panels out. We're starting off with our Tint prep. It's a very premium quality product that I'm confident to use on our own project here for the parents. Let's get this thing started. As you saw in the edit, we're all up to speed. We've done our test spray pattern. We're using the fine finish low pressure 514 tip, which is ideal for walls and ceilings. And we're going to get started spraying inside. Let's do it.
So that's it. The day is done. We are completed, and I'm very happy with the results. There is no other way that I'd tackle VJs and spraying it, which is actually a bit of fun. So today we've sanded, we've gapped again, we've filled, we've sanded our patches. We've then gone through and spread a nice thick coat of undercoat with Tint's prep, and we followed up with 2 coats of Tint's wall, so fresh, so clean for this pottery shed slash barn. And yeah, we're really happy with it. So we've got flooring going in next, and we'll post up some cool photos when it's all fitted out with Misfire Ceramic Studio setup. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys following along the journey. Again, if you want to leave a comment, if you want to give me any tips and tricks, if you want to hit subscribe, hit like, and keep in the loop for more projects coming out soon, to see what else that we can tackle. Thanks guys, have a good week.